In the ancient land of Kemet, where the mighty Nile River nourished golden fields and the gods whispered through towering temples, there lived a potter named Nebamon. His workshop, nestled at the edge of the village of Waset, smelled of damp clay and the warm desert wind. Nebamon was a master of his craft. His hands could shape jars and bowls that were both strong and breathtakingly elegant. Yet, despite his skill, a profound emptiness gnawed at his heart. This emptiness had a name: envy. It was a shadow that followed him everywhere. He envied the farmer whose granaries always seemed to overflow. He envied the merchant who sailed down the Nile on magnificent ships, returning with exotic goods. He even envied the fishermen whose baskets were always heavy with silver fish. Every night, as he stared up at the star-dusted sky, Nebamon would whisper, "Why do the gods favor everyone else but me? What have I done to deserve this emptiness?" His jealousy was a poison, turning his days dark. When others smiled, he could only frown. When they celebrated their good fortune, his heart would twist into a tight, painful knot. One evening, consumed by his frustration, Nebamon wandered far from his village. The sun had set, leaving the sky painted in brilliant streaks of crimson and gold, a divine masterpiece. He found himself near the great temple of Ammon, where colossal statues of pharaohs stood as silent guardians of the land. As he sat beneath a towering obelisk, lost in his thoughts, his hand brushed against something hard and cool buried in the sand. Curiosity piqued. He dug it out. It was an ankh, the ancient symbol of life, but unlike any he had ever seen. It was carved from pure gold, surprisingly heavy in his palm, and adorned with deep blue lapis lazuli. Ancient, mysterious symbols seemed to dance across its surface. As he held it, the wind suddenly changed. The air grew thick with an unseen energy, a palpable magic. A soft, ethereal glow began to emanate from the sand around him. Then she appeared. Isis, the great goddess of magic, motherhood, and wisdom. Her presence was overwhelming, as powerful as a storm, yet as calming as sunlight reflecting on the gentle waters of the Nile. Her voice, when she spoke, seemed to carry the wisdom of eternity itself. "Nebamon, child of Kemet," she said, her voice like music, "you have found the Ankh of truth. With it, you will see the realities hidden beneath the surface of every heart. But I must warn you, the truth is not always a gentle thing, trembling, but filled with a desperate hope." Nebamon clutched the sacred relic and nodded his acceptance. The very next morning, with the golden ankh hidden safely beneath his robe, Nebamon walked into the bustling marketplace. His eyes immediately found the farmer he so deeply envied, the man with broad, strong shoulders and a perpetually cheerful face. As Nebamon carefully lifted the ankh, the world around him faded, and a vision flooded his mind. He saw the farmer waking long before the first rays of dawn, his body aching from the previous day's labor. He saw him toiling under the scorching sun, his hands cut and calloused from the sharp stalks of grain. He saw him watching in despair as a sudden storm flattened his crops, his livelihood washed away in an instant. Yet, he also saw the farmer rise again the next day, his spirit unbroken, his determination as solid as the pyramids. A lump formed in Nebamon's throat. His gaze then shifted to the wealthy merchant, a man draped in fine silk robes, his fingers glittering with gold rings. This was the man whose success had ignited Nebamon's envy more than any other. But as the ankh's power flowed, it revealed a truth that shattered Nebamon's perception. He saw the merchant's past, saw him weeping over the loss of two of his children to a sudden illness. He saw that the man worked tirelessly not for more luxury, but to build a fortress of security around his remaining family, his heart forever weighed down by a sorrow that no amount of gold could lighten. Nebamon's envy began to falter, replaced by a wave of unexpected compassion. Finally, he looked at the fisherman, the one who always seemed to return with a haul larger than anyone else's. The ankh showed Nebamon the hidden side of that success. He saw terrifying storms at sea that nearly capsized the man's small boat, swallowing him into the dark, churning water. He saw long, fruitless days spent under the hot sun, returning with an empty net and an emptier stomach. He saw lonely nights spent shivering in the cold winds, mending his nets with numb fingers. Nebamon lowered the ankh, his hands shaking. The marketplace, once a stage for his envy, now looked completely different. For the first time, he saw not just the blessings, but the burdens. He realized that everyone carried their own weight, everyone fought their own unseen battles. No success came without a struggle, no reward without a price. That night, as moonlight bathed the land in silver, Isis appeared to him once more, her form shimmering like a desert mirage. "Now you understand," she said softly. Nebamon fell to his knees, overwhelmed. "Great goddess, I was so blind. My heart was filled with envy for blessings that were built upon foundations of pain, sacrifice, and relentless effort. Please, forgive my ignorance." Isis reached out and gently touched the ankh he held. "Let the truth you have seen be the guide for your heart from now on. Remember this, Nebamon, the greatest misfortune is not to lack the blessings of others, it is to be blind to your own." And with those final words, her light faded, and she was gone, leaving Nebamon alone with the silence of the night and a profound, life-altering realization. From that day forward, Nebamon was a changed man. The shadow of envy had lifted, replaced by a bright light of purpose. He began waking earlier, not with a sense of dread, but with an eagerness to create. He worked harder than ever, pouring his newfound understanding into his craft. He greeted his fellow villagers with a genuine smile and kindness, not the bitter resentment he once held. He began to admire the strength he saw in others, rather than coveting their success. Months turned into a year. Nebamon's pottery became legendary. His creations were no longer just strong and elegant, they were masterpieces, telling stories in their very form. He etched patterns inspired by the flowing waves of the Nile, the powerful wings of the falcon god Horus, and the eternal, looping symbol of the Ankh. People traveled from distant villages, from across the desert, just to purchase one of his pieces. But when they praised his incredible talent, Nebamon would simply smile with true humility and say, "I do not work to be better than others. I only work to be better than I was yesterday." His heart, once so heavy, now felt lighter than a feather. And though he kept the memory of the Golden Ankh locked safely in his heart, he never felt the need to use it again. He had already learned the greatest truth of all: never envy the blessings of others, for you do not know the sacrifices they made to earn them, nor the silent storms they have weathered to keep them. Instead, focus on your own path, work with a grateful heart, and your own blessings will flourish in ways you can't even imagine. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more stories that can inspire and change our perspective. Until next time, be kind to yourself and to others.